Very happy to see you all. I'm delighted to announce a fantastic presentation by Vodafone. Localize your telebrand and see the results. I really would like to welcome Vera, Catalina, and Adam. Please give them a warm welcome applause.
Thanks, Wouter. All right, everybody. Great to meet you. Great to be here today. And I'm so delighted and grateful to my LinkedIn friends that they didn't put me in the Inspire room. Because honestly, I don't think I can inspire anybody, let alone my 9-year-old son to do his Latin. I tell you, I don't inspire him, I just tell him to do it. However, Connect really plays on our Vodafone strength. You know, it plays on our brand, because at Vodafone, our mission is to empower everybody, all of you here, to be confidently connected. So I think there is this expression in English that I don't like too much, but they told me that this is one of the graveyard sessions whereby energy level goes down after lunch. All you actually want to do is go out and meet and network with your new and old LinkedIn connections. So I'm going to do a little thing now to stir up fuss and actually showcase you how we connect you confidently. So do something for me. Stand up now. Come on, you can do it. Come on. Turn to the person next to you, and I'm sure, knowing you guys in HR, that you're always sitting next to someone you know. But okay, we'll just turn a blind eye and just either give a very strong hug to the person next to you, or if you are, well, wait a second, don't, listen to instructions. I know, very keen. Listen to instructions. If you have a cold, just fist bump, all right? Hey, here you go. Come on. Come on, I can give you a hug. So this is all about, thank you. I have, you guys got it. You guys got it. You know what it is to be confidently connected. So I think we're here to do a serious talk, right? And I'll talk to you about this jolly gentleman in a second. But basically, what we are going to do today, we're going to walk you through a story of resilient collaboration with markets, and how we, together with markets from we started a year and so ago when we had no employer brand presence, we had no social media strategy, and telling you how we went to having a fantastic brand presence and great digital engagement. And I remember, and many of you were here last year when Frederic, the magnifique Frederic from L'Oréal gave a fantastic speech on how she was hired into L'Oréal, and her boss told her, listen, very simple, I want you to make L'Oréal the leader in digital. Well, a year and a half ago, when Adam here and I were hired into Vodafone, we were told, can we have an employer brand, and can we be on digital, right? So this is kind of, we're very proud today because we're together with a bunch of very, very creative guys from markets, and we'll share what we have achieved in a year and a half time. And back then, as I said, I didn't have a team. Now I have a team, and I brought it all with me on stage. So Adam, rise and take a bow. That's our global employer brand and social media team. And coming back to this jolly gentleman here. So Vittorio Colauer is our CEO since 2008. And he has a key role in this conversation, and at the same time, he doesn't. So Vittorio, a little bit of Vittorio's background and Vodafone. So Vittorio's been with us leading Vodafone expansion from what it was originally just a consumer-focused European business, predominantly mobile operator, into a leader in 30 markets, 50 other markets where we operate in on partnerships. We have more customers on our network than LinkedIn has members. We just reached a fantastic milestone of 500 million who are confidently connected on our network everywhere in the world. And now we hire about 120,000 employees across the globe. And that's been through acquisitions and through organic growth. But also what Vittorio achieved in his tenure was to transform us from, again, this mobile operator heritage, and maybe many of you from the UK know we are UK's most valuable brand. 30 years ago, we were a startup, a bit like LinkedIn. Now we grow to be a global player. But we actually diversified in the meantime, and we are global M2M, so machine-to-machine Internet of Things leader as well as enterprise. So he totally transformed the company. And why did I bring him in the story? What typically happens company values, employer brands are all boiled, and thought of at the high level in the boardroom, and then kind of cascaded down into the organization. Well, that's not the spirit of Vodafone. One of our values that Vittorio actually came up with, allegedly, according to some urban legends, during one of his hikes in Spain, was, we are one company, local roots, so we're very respectful of our local roots. So we can't just, create stuff in headquarters and then roll it down. Another thing about Vittorio, and many of you are, I'm sure you are on Twitter, Vittorio is not really at home in the digital social media space. We are working on that, and he's very humble and very receptive to learning. But if you actually check his profile pic on Twitter, you kind of understand what I'm talking. And more so, check his picture on LinkedIn as well. He has a good kick in San Siro there, but anyway, we'll talk about that later. So again, from being a guy who's not really into digital, a couple of months ago after the Davos conference, there was a bit of a panic in my team because Sheryl Sandberg, you all know Sheryl Sandberg, who wrote a book on, on leaning in and getting, driving gender equality. She actually is a mate of Vittorio. She interviewed him for her book, and he's one of the first CEOs out there, male CEOs, who signed up for the LinkedIn movement, and he's on he for she. So after Davos, Sheryl sent a tweet to Vittorio saying, "Hey, Vittorio, go and shout loud on social media, he for she, gender equality." So panic, how do I respond to tweets? Young Adam here went into his office and helped him, respond to Sheryl. So again, fantastic. He's got the will. He wants to do it, and he's actually applying kind of the indirect mentorship that you heard earlier on from the AXA presentation. And again, as I said, great stuff. And when you drive engagement and you really want to get to the soul of what employees really believe and feel about the company, you don't boil these stories and these traits in the boardroom. So what did we do? We thought, okay, we had this huge task, Adam and I, a year and a half ago, figure out what our employer brand is and put it out there on social. We actually, and our friends from LinkedIn know that very well, we're very ambitious. We said, get to 1 million followers on LinkedIn and do this and do that. I said, fantastic, what do we do? A bit of a panic, 2 people and a horse in the team. So we actually were smart and did quite a significant investment in the beginning and hired this smart external agency and told them, listen, go around the world and talk to our people. And they actually did. They talked to 70,000 of our own employees, customers, candidates, third parties. And they went around and said, what is it really like? What does it really mean for you? It's a mouthful to say really quickly, we empower everybody to be confidently connected. What does it mean for you every day, right? So they went around, they came back, and we realized that they actually bottled it for us. They made it very easy for us to go through those quotes and kind of come to the bottom of what does it really drive people every day to come to work and be, in the world's second largest operator. And this is what they said. They basically said, listen, it is a two-way deal. It is, there are a couple of things that make us, really excited and get out of bed every day to serve customers all over the world. And that is, we're actually working for an industry-leading company. We do really good stuff. We drive innovation. We have an innovation lab in the West Coast in US. We are leaders in M2M. So we are really proud of working for not just a telco, but an innovator, right? We're actually doing a lot of great good. And I'll show you an employee story afterwards that kind of builds a little bit around social responsibility and the stuff we're doing to give back. We have lots of opportunities. We are actually a global employer, huge internal mobility programs, nothing I've seen in my previous experience before. So those are the things that make us to be our best. But it's also important that you feel you're bringing contribution every day. And let's face it, a lot of you know there, companies like this put a lot of pressure on people, ask a lot of you. So there is your part of the deal. When are you at your best? You're always doing what's right for customers, for the environment. You always deliver results, lead the Vodafone way, and so forth. So again, fantastic that these were the exact words and the examples that the employees came back with. And we said, okay, let's make this the pillars of our brand. Let's build stories around these proof points. And here are a couple of examples on, we fleshed them, we brought them to life, And we made employees actually tell their own stories. I think I'm not saying anything new to you today. In yesterday's sessions, they were all about, how you engage your employees to use their own words, because obviously, they make a more emotional connection. They have more credibility than if you put a corporate story out there. So again, I don't think we reinvented the wheel. But I think what's fantastic about the way we build the brand is all these stories are crowdsourced globally, right? So we didn't spend a lot of advertising money and marketing to do really polished Photoshops. We actually went, most of the cases, there were selfies or really simple pictures, and used the employees' words. And to give you two examples of some of the stories that are the most impactful right now, one is, there is this chap Boniface who works for our Kenyan business. And Boniface is telling a story of how he, together with a bunch of very smart local Kenyans, they came up with this groundbreaking product, which is called M-Pesa. You probably heard about the mobile banking application that actually started in Kenya and now is it's a global trend. So what M-Pesa does basically, it's you transact about 46% of the GDPs of Kenya on mobile on this mobile app. So basically, you empower that about 19 million Kenyans who don't have access to banking can actually pay the school fees, get shopping, pay their debt, and so forth. So again, Boniface talks in his own words, how he contributed to making M-Pesa one of the biggest innovations right now. Just got recognized by Fortune magazine a couple of weeks ago. Equally, closer to us in Germany, Rudy talks about his team created a new Connect Drive program. And I'm talking about 2 years ago. The fact that now you have live stream via LTE in your cars is kind of, it's a kind of a given. But back then, when Rudy invented this product and worked together with one of the Germany's leading car manufacturers, and it's not Volkswagen, that was really a big innovation. So these are a couple of examples of employee stories that we crowdsourced across all markets, which bring really a local flavor to what it was a kind of a global tune. So a global tune with a lot of local melodies. And so I hope I can, I brought a couple of things to life on, what is that we achieved, what was the tone of voice, how we went to identify what our global brand is, and how you actually make an impact on a local level. But I think the most important things, and this is why I hope you came up today, is to get a couple of tips on, okay, it's fantastic, you have all that, so how do you deploy it? How do you deploy it in 30+ markets where you have a local culture, local identity, a lot of new acquisitions? So, show us how we've done it. So I brought here Adam, who's going to talk to you through the whole implementation of the brand and what we did in digital with a big focus on LinkedIn. So Adam?
Cheers. Hi everyone. This is probably the only presentation all day, or all 2 days, where we don't mind you being on your phones. So there's like a really good thing. And I mean, if you're with us, obviously you have ultra-fast 4G today as well. So happy days. Now, we are based in Paddington, our global office, but Vittorio, the man you saw at the beginning, hates the word global, and we're not a corporate HQ. Part of the reason for that is we've grown really organically, whether that's £181 billion acquisition of Mannesmann in Germany, or very recently a £4 million acquisition in the Netherlands. It's a really organically built company, and that creates quite a complex mix of different kind of cultures, attitudes, languages, and that means that we have almost mini companies that form Vodafone. So the big question for us, and as you can see, we've cleverly illustrated, how do we paint Vodafone as a global company while still keeping our kind of local view there? And obviously, being a mobile company, mobile, social, really key to that strategy. And if you think you guys have a really tough time with marketing, trying to get HR stuff signed off, Britain's most valuable brand, trust me, our marketing teams, they're really not the best. And if you think about kind of LinkedIn's own thought leadership around who owns the employer brand, we saw yesterday the CEO thinks it's the CEO, HR thinks it's HR. Now with LinkedIn, it's kind of the same thing. Everybody wants to have a piece of the pie, right? And if I talk a little bit, I live in St Albans, lovely place if any of you have been there, but my landlady is a first-time buyer. She bought a buy-to-let, so she's really, really worried about our flat. She phones every 5 minutes when we first moved in saying, is everything all right? You know, are the radiators working? Now, after 2 years, we hardly hear from her because she trusts us. And we describe LinkedIn at Vodafone as HR are the landlords of the tool. So we rent out to marketing, we let them kind of sublet, essentially, our property. And that's how we own it. And thankfully for you guys, LinkedIn, you probably won't like me saying this, but I think most people still very much see it as the place you go to get a job. And that's a real advantage in how do you take ownership of it, is that people have that preconception of the tool as HR owned. Now, for me, as Catalina said, joining a year and a half ago, it was absolute madness. There were 36 pages, Vodafone Spain, Vodafone Italy, Vodafone Greece. I'm sure Greece won't mind me saying now, they hadn't posted in over 3 years, so it was dead. We also had Vodafone car washing services, which we've not moved into yet, but we might do. So not all of it was us. And there was a really fragmented tone of voice and a really inconsistent messaging there. So the magic trinity was brand, comms, and HR. We worked together. We're a company of first. So we sent the first SMS in the world. We made the first mobile call. And we're really passionate about connecting people. I'm sure you all loved the hug of the people next to you. There's still a few empty chairs between you, but you seem to enjoy it. And we wanted to connect with brand and comms to kind of define a line and really kind of work that strategy out. How do we go to market with our employer brand? And we spent quite a long time doing that. We met with every owner of a process, which was really quite a long process, but understanding where we touched candidates, where did we speak to our people, and really map that out. And for us and for me personally, I feel very strongly that measure of success on our employer brand isn't Catalina, me, and marketing sitting in a room chatting away saying, oh, we're at our best when you're at yours. That's so corny. The test of success is when your employers are using it. So when I posted on Facebook this morning that I was going to be speaking today, somebody commented saying, hope your hashtag at your best. And that made my day. That's when you know that your employer brand is embedded with what you want to do because your people are using it. It's not you giving it to them. You will lose control of it, but give them something to take away. And of course, for us, it's really nice because our employees are incredibly proud of what we do. There's a lot of Vodafone people here, but we're immensely proud of what we do. When we launched the world's first maternity policy that gets picked up by CNN, you're proud to share that on social networks. So whether you're a huge company or a small company, in Europe, we don't like to as much, but give your people something to be proud of. Give them something that they can find easily. Now, we also have a mantra in Vodafone of one company, local roots, which is part of what Vittorio came up with while he was on holiday. And it was fantastic that our employees were talking about Vodafone, being proud of the company, but it was through those 36 pages. It was absolutely crazy. You saw it in different places, and you saw this morning the in-demand employers. It's difficult to get in there when there's 36 of you. So we created one version of the truth. We call it One Company, Local Roots. You can see we've cleverly illustrated this. Credit to Google Dave, if you don't know Dave, for his agency for quite so good interpretation of One Company, Local Roots here. But it was a geographically targeted voice. So we had our markets, and the guys are sat at the front here. They speak to their people in their markets using our single page. We also have the global news, so the big stuff like maternity policy we can champion. But we also have those really important, I'm going to come over here because you guys seem a bit unloved. We also have the targeted pages. So when you visit from Qatar, when you visit from Egypt, you see a page that has people from your country, messages from your country on that page. And that's really powerful because it's Vodafone, but it's local to you. And we've seen great success from that. You see a single tone of voice, regular content. These guys here, Bulent, Nick, Perwa, Laura, sat at the front from our markets. They post fantastic content to their followers, and their followers really pick it up on it. You can see, since we moved into this single page from April, we've seen a massive increase in people engaging with that single place. They know it's now the one place. You've probably all seen the statistic that usually a LinkedIn follower will follow up to 5 companies. When you have 35 companies, you don't want all 5 to be Vodafone. This is the one place they can now go for information about us. And it's an internal alignment as well. So I'm sure everybody here has felt the pain of B2B marketeers trying to kind of crouch into LinkedIn and trying to use a little bit for B2B. And actually, that's a huge advantage for you. That's somebody saying, I want to spend money through your medium. And actually, that's where constantly pushing it back into that one page is fantastic. It lets you not only leverage what your company does, but what your company is doing product-wise. Now, this is all fantastic, and talking about LinkedIn being one page is great. Big launch, employees started using it, but you don't want it to become buried treasure. The problem with employer brands is you can launch them, and if they're not used, they slowly start to acquire dust. I'm sure you've all got job descriptions like this, that it's been the same for 40 years, and every time you need to get a new person, it's like blowing the dust off it, putting in maybe like a new technology, and it's good to go. Don't let your employer brand become like that. It needs to be fresh. It needs to be owned. So build it to last. Get your integration into how you communicate things. If you're packing every employee engagement piece, every time you communicate with your people in that brand, then they get to see it. They get to understand that it's linked to the company. And them using it, again, keeps it going. It gives it that sense. And we were talking at lunch with a couple of other companies about user-generated content. Marketers hate it because they don't want some scrappy video from an employee to come out, but get your employees involved. Adobe had an excellent example yesterday of Adobe Life, but you can use your employees to really generate this content and then pick out the best. If you're that worried, you can curate it, get them to send it to you, and then share it. So keep it employee-owned. It's not yours to manage, it's yours to channel. But the reason you're all here is not to hear about what Vodafone did, our increase. What you want to do is you want to understand where we went wrong, right? Everybody goes wrong. It's fine. You can admit it. So our stumbling blocks is that, and another one that everybody will start nodding when I say this, hiring managers saying, why do they not want to work for us? Why do we need to sell the job to them, right? It's the classic of, why do we need an employer brand? Don't they want to work for our brand? Vodafone had that so badly. Everybody thought, oh, Vodafone's the best. Why do we need to sell it? And that was a huge stumbling block for us. Secondly, and Lou, who's at the front of the audience, some of you will know, this was my biggest pain point for about a year, is that Malta and Albania don't exist for LinkedIn. They do now. We've done that for you. That's fine. But an American company, we're Europe, right? They don't know that there's individual countries. So Malta and Albania for us was a big one, and getting that geographical sense right was really important. And in a similar vein is that translation of materials. Primarily, we're an English-speaking company, but actually, people in markets, if they're applying for a job, hearing that tagline in their own language makes it feel a lot more personal. It makes it feel special. And that was a big stumbling block for us, is that we launched with a big bang, and we said, right, go for it. And then we found, Vera was joking with me earlier, that we're at our best when you're at yours. I'm Polish, and my English is quite good. But for somebody who English is a second language or third language, that's a really difficult thing to say. So translation in advance is really important. And another one that if you're at a global company, you've probably also experienced, which is that we had 30 different markets with 30 different teams, and there was no clear owner of social. So we had an individual conversation with each geography about who owns what. And that was a huge stumbling block for us. It did set us back quite a bit, because we had to establish who the hell owns these pages that we're trying to merge into one. So getting people on board there, and similarly with a social media policy, each market has their own kind of legal things that's really important to nail first. Now, for those of you that aren't laughing or simply don't like Steve Coogan, this is a character called Alan Partridge, who, and Dave's challenged me to do this on stage, when he comes on stage goes, aha! So these are our aha moments, and these are the moments when I thought, God, if I'd known this when we first started, it would have made my life so much easier. So the first is having an end-to-end strategy. Don't take a piece of the pie. It's not Trivial Pursuit. Work with your marketing teams and your comms teams to unify the message. Wrap it all together. Don't work individually, or you're just bound to fail. Route through your HRDs as well. That's an incredibly important message. Social leads, digital leads in markets are great, but if you make the person at the top accountable and you can hold them to that, then when you go back to them and say, look, this was yours to do. I don't care if your person in market has struggled to do it. You're individually accountable for this, and they'll get interested. And that's where social leadership is really important. We talked about Vittorio going onto Twitter. Get your senior leaders excited and educated. Get them to understand what it is. That way they won't be pushing for targets that you know don't work. They'll be really interested and they'll be checking, and they'll be a really big champion. So they'll be getting their teams to share stuff on social, and they'll start to want their stuff to come to prominence on those channels. Have every possible guide ready in advance. So Nick from the UK was talking to me about how we get our employees to update their profiles. It's things like that as soon as it comes up, you then have to go and create a guide. Have everything ready. Every anticipated question, have a guide or a document or an online learning ready to go in response. Transition plans. Catalina will be happy for me to admit, I'm great at creating plans. I'm the worst at sticking to them. And I flit about, my brain goes crazy, much like I'm walking around this stage. But transition plan was vital in moving those pages together, having clear accountabilities, responsibilities, key dates that we needed to get over the line. It sets the bar with LinkedIn, it sets the bar with your teams in markets, and it sets the bar with you to know what's coming next, what you've done, and it allows you to report up to whoever it is that's got a vested interest. And beg, steal, and borrow. Marketing teams love doing stuff about their brand. You don't have to have a huge budget to get stuff done with employer brands. Use your employee content. Use PowerPoint. Find someone that just does photo editing in their spare time, does video for fun. Use your employees. Even if you just put out a global news piece on your internal communication channel, who wants to help? People love to help. So use that. Use it to your advantage. And finally, from the aha moments, is adoption. Just because everybody's on Facebook, everybody's on LinkedIn, it doesn't mean it's going to be easy to implement from an employer brand strategy. Not everybody, and the US are especially bad for this, wants to update their profile shouting about how great their company is. It's fine to just engage those people that want to opt in. Make it a choice. Make them think, yeah, I'm proud of where I work. I want to talk about this. So it's not easy to implement social there. And Catalina's talked a little bit about the wider company. I've talked about our transition into one page. But the real test is our markets. And guys, can you stand up, the people from our markets? As I say, like our signal penetration, there's quite a lot in the room. These are the people that have done this in the markets, and they've done some fantastic work. So it wouldn't be a Talent Connect. Oh, you can sit down. Sorry, guys. It wouldn't be a Talent Connect presentation without video, right? So we've got some videos from different markets. We split that into 3 key areas. Our graduate hiring from Italy. So we've got a fantastic video. They're Italian, so it's all about love and passion. The second videos will be from India, which will talk about how they did offline implementation. And I'll introduce that when it comes. And thirdly, Vera will talk about online implementation for Germany. But for me, this is the real test, right? Is that we can kind of sit and talk about strategy and idea, but it's when you see it locally and you see that local flavor that it's the real test. So I'll let you watch the Italian video and try not to feel too emotional. I think I'm still on. So that's Italy, as I say, all about love, all about passion, and we've seen some fantastic results from them. To move on to India, this is all about the offline implementation, and very much a two-stage plan of plan and then execute. So 2 distinct videos, so we'll go with the first.
And since this employer brand has gone live, there's been a lot of buzz and curiosity that has been generated on campuses. I have been receiving a lot of queries, and we hope that they are just as inspired as I was to be at my best.
As a partner, it has been exciting for us to see the employer brand journey of Vodafone. Overall, there is a great story out there at Vodafone, and we believe that they are walking the talk when they say, "We are at our best when you are at yours."
All right, so as we have just seen the Indian example, I will spend a couple of minutes to share our example of how we did the adaptation in Germany. Does it click? Here we are. All right. So as Catalina and Adam were saying, the starting point for us as well was the claim and the proof points. And what we did first was that we sat together with our management and a lot of employees, and we were just thinking about these proof points, how do they resonate with us in the German market, and then we did a brainstorm of which people in our company do really represent the Vodafone Germany DNA. Who do we have who's an exciting leader, for example, who is inspiring, who's a role model for Vodafone? And then we came up with about 10 people, 10 local people of different ages, gender, from interns to senior leaders, which were the basis then for our local rollout. And what we did was, first of all, we developed a so-called Evp Toolkit for Germany. So a toolkit consisting of pictures, stories, videos, which is the basis basically for all communications that we do around employer branding. And I want to share you just an example of how the content of the toolbox look like. And here you see Philip. Philip is a Discover trainee, very cute one though as well, but we chose him because he organized a charity run at Vodafone Germany and raised more than 50,000 euros. And this is something which we are really, really proud of, and therefore we chose him as the testimonial for the Discover for the trainee community. And it all starts with pictures, of course. So as you have seen in the other movies, it all starts with a main motive, with a story, and then we produced a lot of additional editorial material which we can use in the different communication channels. What we did as well was that we asked Philip a couple of questions, why do you like working at Vodafone and stuff like this, and wrote it down so that we have it ready for us when we create communication materials and so forth. And last but not least, we produced videos with each of the testimonials sharing their story. I just want to give you a short, or I want to show you a short excerpt of a video, just 20 seconds, that you get an insight.
Hervorzubringen von uns. Vodafone gibt uns alle Möglichkeiten. Wir haben hier Ideen, die setzen wir um. Wir haben hier Kommunikationsbedarf. Wir gehen zum nächsten Manager und sprechen einfach los. Wir laufen durchs Gebäude, wir sehen die Manager neben den Assistenten, neben den Business Managern. Alle sind gleich, alle sind auf einer Ebene und wir kommunizieren das auch so. Ausgeglichenheit, also genauso Work-Life-Balance ist sehr, sehr wichtig, um im Job 100% zu bringen, als auch in der Freizeit auf dem Dampfer zu sein.
So just a short excerpt of the videos. They are all about like 2 to 3 minutes long and a very good basis for the communications that we do. And this toolkit is basically used by internal communication, external communication, HR, brand, so whoever is creating EVP-related communication for Vodafone Germany. So now let me show you just a couple of more things, how we really did the deployment then. So of course, everything starts internally. So we had to roll out it internally first. So we, of course, embedded it in communications and in everything we do, but what we did as well was that we tried to generate as many touch points with the EVP, with the testimonials and the stories as we could in the daily life of our employees. And just one example that you see here on the right-hand side of the screen is that in each our meeting rooms, all the monitors and that are all the screens that are more than 500 in all the different Vodafone buildings have now the campaign as the start screen. So this is just one small example of where our employees get in touch with our testimonials and their stories. When I continue now to the offline part, so I just want to wrap up because we saw a lot of good stuff already, what the Indian people are do. We, of course, use the EVP as the basis to produce like campus marketing materials, the campus marketing fair stand, to have shirts for the Vodafone runners, to produce giveaways. Here an example of a delicious giveaway, an ice which we used for something. So everywhere and every channel where we are present. So last but not least, I want to look with you a little bit in the online space. So basically, we did 3 different things. First of all, we did the basis, like the things you need, like relaunching our career page, setting up a YouTube career channel with the videos of all our testimonials, then relaunching all our social media profiles, so starting with the global page of LinkedIn, from Facebook and many other pages we are present. We use a new kind of communication, we use the testimonials and their stories there. But the second part was that as Vodafone Germany is not the only employer competing for talent, especially in Germany, where you have many, many big brands competing with you for talent, we also needed to push the EVP to the outside world. So we did a targeted ad campaign through different channels, through junior channels, senior channels, with our testimonials, and by that we generated impressions of about 2 million. Which was really great, and we saw that we reach now people that would have from themselves not gone on our webpage, for example. Last but not least, the third part was about interaction. We really wanted to bring our EVP to life, to really experience people, how is it to work at Vodafone? And therefore, all our testimonials got an intensive social media training, because of course we have people who have never done a tweet or things like this as a testimonial, so they got a training from us, and from that moment on, they are present in the social world for us. They share their stories, they are there to answer questions, so people can really get in touch with them, ask questions, and this is the thing which really impresses us a lot. So this is the last piece of it. And now you might want to ask, do you already see an impact? We started with that a couple of months ago. And we can say, yes, we can see a difference now from the internal perspective as engagement is really going up. So people proactively come to me and say, I want to be the next testimonial. Can I share my story? I really want to do that. And that's a really good sign. And on the other side, on the external perspective, we see that, for example, candidates resonate with a slogan with a claim, for example, in their motivation letter or in interviews. They are relating to it like, I'm at my best when, so depending on the job. And this is a good sign for us that we see that it's resonated in the market. Last but not least, the one thing we are really proud of is that we were able to win a very big employer award this year in Germany. And the thing that makes us most proud of it is that we were able to beat such a brand as Porsche. So this is what we're really proud of. And so much to the German rollout. And then back to Catalina.
Thank you very much, Vera. So inspiring. Fantastically proud of you guys, what you achieved in markets. And so impressed with this young man's performance. I think Google, Dave, where are you? You've got competition there. You know, the millennials are coming, I tell you. So just wanted to make it nice and easy for you to be able to wrap this up and take a couple of key takeaways. I know how it works, right? You probably struggle with budgets, and you have to go back to your CHRO and say, listen, I didn't waste 2 days and lots of money traveling to London for nothing. So here's the ROI. Here's the 3 things I'm going to take back and implement that I learned maybe today at Vodafone. So just making it easy for you to take a couple of those away today. Number 1 is our own learning. One of the stumbling blocks is don't be an HQ. Don't be a headquarters. Don't think you know it all just because you have a fancy job title and you sit there in the ivory tower. Listen to the voices and the flavors from the markets and build your employer brand in that way rather than the other way around. And this is how you'll engage and you'll get buy-in from everybody. Second, I think not all of us are in the fortunate position that our friends from Unilever are. So it's not always the case that marketing, comms, PR, and HR work jointly, and they're like this, they're type of hip. In most cases, you actually struggle. And the advice we give you is, hold firm your brand, because even if they have the big budgets and the big, they are the ones that have the big rollout, don't let them tell you what the employer brand is. Right? Make sure that you distill it, you get to your employees, you get to the core of it, and build your story. And obviously, if you are lucky enough to work jointly with them, happy days. I think, thirdly, make it easy for your employees to share. We heard some fantastic stories on LinkedIn's new product, Elevate. Unfortunately, we don't use it yet, but we had other platforms, both locally in Germany with their blog, in the Netherlands, where we have a fantastic social referral program and a great platform. Make it easy for them. Make it seamless that every morning, as we know, every employee, I think in average spend between half an hour and 2 hours a day on social media anyway, right? Make it easy for them to share all that fantastic content and keep generating it. So okay, hopefully you got a bit of inspiration, a couple of tips from us. The power is to you to make it happen. And I think, it would be fantastic if we have a couple of minutes to opening up for questions.